All right, ready to dive deep. We're heading back to the very beginnings of civilization, ancient Mesopotamia. Got some amazing excerpts here from Isaac Asimov's The Near East. Even just skimming them, I was blown away.
Oh yeah, Asimov, he had a way of making history come alive. But sometimes I find myself wanting more than just the story. Like, what was going on beneath the surface? What drove those ancient people?
Totally. And that's what we're here to unpack. Asimov kicks things off around 9,000 years ago. We've got these nomadic hunter-gatherers roaming the land. Then boom, agriculture takes root, and bam, civilization pops up in Mesopotamia.
And it's no accident that it happened in Mesopotamia. Asimov calls it one of the most fertile places on Earth, thanks, of course, to the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. So we're talking prime real estate for this whole civilization thing to get started.
It's like those rivers held the key, right, to unlocking this whole new era.
More than just a key, they were the lifeblood. But here's something that blew my mind. Asimov mentions that the Sumerian word for upstream actually meant northeast.
Oh, hold on, really? Their word for a direction was tied to a river.
Exactly. It highlights how profoundly their lives, even their language, were intertwined with those rivers. The flow of the Tigris and Euphrates wasn't just geography. It was woven into their understanding of the world.
That's amazing. One word revealing so much about how they saw things.
And let's not forget, it wasn't all sunshine and roses. These rivers, yeah, they brought life, but also chaos. Floods, droughts, that constant uncertainty hanging over them.
Plus, you've got neighboring tribes always circling, competing for resources. Yeah. It's kind of stressful.
You said it. Asimov doesn't sugarcoat it, but here's the fascinating part. He suggests that those challenges, those constant pressures, they actually sparked incredible innovation.
So it's like necessity is the mother of invention, but on an epic scale.
Exactly. They had to find ways to control those unpredictable rivers. Hence those incredible irrigation systems Asimov talks about. And think about the need to keep track of everything, resources, agreements, all that. That's where writing comes in. Cuneiform script, changing the game for human communication forever.
Wow, just trying to bring order to the chaos.
Right. To protect what they'd built, they developed military strategies, forms of government, the building blocks of a civilization. It's amazing how that pressure cooker environment actually forged their strength.
So we have this incredible civilization built on innovation and resilience, but it wasn't all smooth sailing from there, right? Asimov talks about these cycles of empires in Mesopotamia: Sumerians, Akkadians, Babylonians, Assyrians, each one rising to power only to eventually fall.
Yeah, that's a pattern Asimov keeps coming back to, this rise and fall. Not just in Mesopotamia, he sees it as this kind of fundamental rhythm of human history.
Like a historical echo repeating across time. Why do you think that is? What makes empires so vulnerable?
It's interesting, isn't it? Often it's the very things that make them strong that also lead to their downfall, like their military power, for example, or having all that centralized authority.
Almost tragic when you think about it, this repeating pattern. Asimov makes it so vivid, though, like with the story of Sargon of Akkad, abandoned as a baby, rises to become this legendary emperor. Talk about a story for the ages.
Oh, absolutely. Sargon embodies that dramatic rise to power. And the Akkadian Empire, it thrived under him for a while, but then those cracks start to show. Over-reliance on one powerful ruler, resentment from the conquered people, it all builds up.
And eventually, even the mightiest empire crumbles. It's like a cautionary tale about the nature of power. But it's not all about the rulers, is it? Asimov makes sure to give us a glimpse into the lives of everyday people, too.
Yeah, he does, and I think that's so important. It's easy to get caught up in these grand narratives, but there were artists, farmers, families just trying to live their lives. You can see it in their artwork, their beliefs, the fabric of their society.
It's amazing what those details tell us, right? Not just battles and kings, but what life was really like.
Exactly. And then we come to the Assyrians, a civilization often remembered for their ruthlessness in war. Asimov doesn't shy away from that at all.
No, he doesn't. He even mentions those accounts from King Ashurnasirpal II, boasting about building pyramids out of severed heads. Hard to wrap your head around that kind of brutality.
It really is a dark side of human history. What's interesting, though, is that Asimov also highlights their achievements in art and architecture.
Oh, right. That's a side you don't always hear about. It's easy to get stuck on the brutality and miss the bigger picture.
For sure. Like their carvings of animals so detailed, full of life, it suggests this whole other side to them. A deep appreciation for the natural world. Not just warriors,
It's like every civilization has these layers, these contradictions. That's what makes studying them so fascinating.
Absolutely. And as we go deeper into Asimov's account, we'll find even more surprises, more about the lasting impact of ancient Mesopotamia.
Okay, so we've covered empires rising and falling, explored these fascinating cultures. But what about ancient Mesopotamia's lasting impact? What echoes are still felt today?
That's where Asimov really brings it home. Their innovations, their worldview, it didn't just vanish when their empires did.
Right, like those echoes we talked about, but this time it's ideas, knowledge rippling through time.
Exactly. Asimov uses the Chaldeans as a prime example. You see, the word Chaldean actually originally meant astronomer.
No way. So back then, being a Chaldean was like being a, what do we call it now, a rock star astronomer. That's so cool.
Pretty much. They were light years ahead in astronomy, developed intricate calendars, predicted eclipses. Imagine the kind of awe they inspired.
It's really mind-blowing what they achieved with the technology they had.
It shows you the power of observation, right? Of generations dedicated to understanding the cosmos. And here's where it gets really interesting. They weren't just stargazing. They were connecting the dots, creating systems of knowledge that would go on to influence things like mathematics for centuries.
Okay, so how does that ancient knowledge actually connect to us now? What's the so what factor?
Well, think about this. The 60-minute hour, the 360-degree circle, these core concepts we use every day, they have roots in Babylonian mathematics, heavily influenced by those Chaldean astronomers. Even the word algebra, it comes from 9th century Baghdad, from the title of a book by Al-Khwarizmi.
Wow. These civilizations we think of as so distant, they shaped our modern world in ways we don't even realize. The foundation of mathematics, how we tell time, it all traces back.
It does. And it's not just maths and astronomy. Asimov talks about the impact of Hammurabi's Code. It was one of the very first attempts to actually write down laws, to create a system of justice that, at least in theory, applied to everyone.
It's fascinating how they were grappling with the same big questions, justice, order that we still deal with today.
Exactly. And sure, Hammurabi's Code seems harsh now, but that idea that laws should be written down, a system beyond the whims of a ruler, that was revolutionary.
It really makes you think about how progress isn't always straightforward, right? It's got twists and turns, and even those seemingly brutal practices from the past can hold the seeds of ideas that resonate today.
Absolutely. As we wrap up this deep dive, it's important to remember that history isn't just about the big stories, the empires. It's about the people who lived it, who created, who left their mark. Asimov even mentions King Ashurbanipal, often mocked for loving knowledge, for building this massive library in Nineveh.
But isn't it ironic that we owe much of what we know about ancient Mesopotamia to that very library?
It is. It reminds us that sometimes it's the quiet dedication to knowledge, to preserving it, that shapes our understanding of the past, not just the conquests. So as you dig deeper into Asimov's work, into any history, remember to look closer, see the nuances, the complexity, the lasting legacy of civilizations like those in ancient Mesopotamia. It's a journey that can really change how you see not just the past, but our world today.